Years of being the only baby in the house has left Maggie feeling lonely and quite delusional. But finally, she can make friends by hanging out with the neighborhood critters and soon-to-be roadkill. Will Maggie's new nature army actually cause a storm? The Simpson family have all transformed into cars, and they try their best to safely park into their designated positions. But Maggie rolls in as a monster truck and crushes her entire family like she always wanted. One fine morning, Marge rudely interrupts Homer's brain rot TV session so that the entire family can go to her mother's birthday. The old woman will be turning 80 soon, and Marge wants her family to give a shit for once, and she basically begs Homer to get off his ass and be a normal human for once. Before the family leaves, Maggie notices a small squirrel on the windowsill. Instead of crying or scaring the creature away, Maggie actually bonds with the thing and ends up experiencing what it's like to have a friend. Marge picks up Maggie, bringing her bonding session to an end. But this is not the end of Maggie's new connections. The family then make their way to Jacqueline Bouvier's house, and all of her closest friends and family are gathered to wish her a happy birthday. The 80-year-old grandma tries to enjoy her birthday, but with one foot already through death's door, Jacqueline cannot really celebrate the occasion. Despite her old-ass age, Marge's mother still has some game left, because both Grandpa Abe and even Mr. Burns try to win her affections.
One thing I can't beat: competition.
The birthday celebration continues, and Homer and the kids are already bored out of their minds. Thankfully, Patty and Selma have about 3 hours of old pictures, so the boring party can now become even more insufferable. As the family gathers around to see the pictures of Marge and her sisters when they were younger, Marge realizes that her father is present in the pictures as well, and she misses him terribly. Patty and Selma wonder how their father died, and for some reason, Jacqueline thinks it's a good idea to reveal the truth in the middle of an already dying party. Apparently, their father passed away due to lung cancer, and hearing this gives Patty and Selma quite the reality check.
Mom, how could you know that and still let us smoke? I thought it made you look cool.
Patty and Selma decide that it is time for them to quit smoking, and they end up burning their cigarettes and their mother's house in the process. Marge and Homer are worried about the two lonely sisters who used smoking as a coping mechanism. For now, Marge puts Maggie to sleep, but the devious child has other plans. She meets the squirrel again and ends up leaving her bedroom to hang out with her new posse. Maggie climbs her window to get to the roof where all manner of animals are gathered. There is an owl, a fancy-looking parrot, and even a possum. Some of them may even have rabies, but Maggie doesn't care. Her new unique friends are at least real. The night goes on as Maggie does incredibly dangerous stunts, and almost falls off the roof, but the animals take care of her. And even the possum, who are notoriously vicious, takes a liking to Maggie. The following morning, Patty and Selma are back at their job, but it looks like Patty is having a harder time trying to quit cold turkey. Her mood is more sour than usual, and even Patty's manager has to tell her to stop being such a buzzkill. Selma, on the other hand, is thriving, and Patty cannot understand why her sister seems to be having the time of her life, even though neither of them have any nicotine in their system. All of a sudden, Patty realizes that she can smell something weird, and she is scared that a heart attack is imminent. The scared woman decides to head to the hospital with Selma, but the doctor informs her that everything seems to be okay, at least by the standards of someone who has smoked every single day of their lives. Patty then realizes that she smells something weird because of Selma. Apparently, Selma could not quit smoking at all and lasted only 10 minutes before assaulting her lungs once more.
I quit for only 10 minutes before I relapsed, and it was the best cigarette of my life.
Patty cannot believe that Selma would betray her like that, and she ends up moving out of the house. This way, Selma can smoke her life away without causing Patty to have a relapse as well. Patty then ends up staying with Marge for some time, but Homer does not like that at all. Their house is crowded enough as is, and Patty sleeping on the couch would ruin all of those couch gags as well.
That's where we do our couch gags. See?
Patty ends up sleeping with Maggie instead, which means that Maggie's animals will have to deal with another type of animal while they try to hang out with Maggie. During the night, Patty's horrendous snore and coughing combination keeps the baby awake. So she devises a plan to break herself free and hang out with the animals once more. Once Maggie manages to escape, she is reunited with her friends, but there is trouble afoot, because the smelly possum has been taken by Cletus and his hillbilly farm family. Maggie watches as Cletus takes the possum away, and then she instructs her owl friend to follow the family. Cletus goes back home and intends on using the possum as a nice meal for his family. The following morning, Homer gets out of bed and sees Marge in the shower, so he wants to get in on the action as well. But the man ends up getting in while Patty is taking a shower, and this single-handedly scars Homer for life, as the poor man pours bleach on his eyes. Bart shows up and decides to head in as well, but for the first time in his life, Homer actually cares about his son and stops Bart's deep descent into madness.
What the hell?
I did that with love, boy.
What's all the hubbub?
Oh, thank you, Dad.
Okay, son.
Back at Selma's empty apartment, she feels quite lonely without her sister and tries talking to someone, but Selma knows that if she holds on to cigarettes a bit longer, maybe things will get better. But deep down, Selma knows that she needs to get Patty back. Meanwhile, Patty also has a heart-to-heart with Homer of all people, and it seems like she really misses Selma as well. Thankfully, Selma arrives just in time and has a tender with Patty. The estranged sister reveals that she ended up quitting smoking as well, even though her reasons are a little dubious. Patty is touched that her sister would go to such great lengths to get her back. Maggie is also making progress with her plan after her playtime is over. Maggie gathers the entire ecosystem in her neighbourhood to help bring the possum back. Maggie's little army contains all manner of animals and diseases, and each one is given an important task to carry out. As Maggie watches the animals march on, the squirrel wonders why she isn't going with them. Maggie realises that as a mere human baby, she will slow everyone down, but luckily there is another animal ready to help Maggie. The spider pig arrives just in time and gives Lisa a ride so that she can join her battalion. The animal army quickly makes its way towards Cletus's farm, and on the way, Maggie recruits even more animals. The army finally arrives at the farm, and they see the trapped possum, but a dog is guarding the creature. All of the animals get to work and start bringing down the guard dog. The birds fly around and peck at its ears and fur. Even the ducks get in on the action. Meanwhile, the squirrels help the wounded. Now that the dog is cornered, the possum is able to use its tail to trap the animal, but it doesn't last for long. The squirrels then manage to bring down the guard dog by throwing a branch over its head. And finally, the dog admits a defeat when it is attacked by porcupines and spiders. But the war is not over, because one of the Cletus family's doped-up babies appears on the scene, and Maggie will have to bring this one down on her own. She tries everything to stop the baby, but he does not falter. In the end, Maggie has to make use of the moonshine supply to stop the mutated baby. Just one sip of the good stuff gets the addicted baby to fall down. Finally, Maggie frees the possum from its cage, and the two friends are united once more. All the animals celebrate this victory, but when they see Cletus catching them in the act, everyone scurries away, including Maggie. Cletus doesn't do anything. He is only upset that his good moonshine will go to waste. Back at Patty and Selma's apartment, the two sisters are glad to have each other back. Now that there are no toxic smoking fumes in their apartment, Patty realises that their little house smells like shit, and instead of just taking some responsibility and cleaning their apartment, Patty and Selma decide to just pull out their cigarettes like the good old days, and they end up going back to exactly the way they were. This was a very interesting and funny episode, just like the time everyone thinks Bart is selling illegal substances, so if you want to know what happens, click on this video next. But don't forget to leave your like and subscription.